Oh, you started it?
Yeah. It's fine.
Okay, so I guess this video will be about I've been thinking about actually let me start. So I started talking to ChatGPT asking like, okay, how would a kid experience the world and be able to put the world into language? Basically, I'm talking about myself because my vocabulary, all the stuff I do, metaphors, the things I read have been like, how do I translate how I experience the world or whatever in real time? And then also do it in a way that's like does not become too complex, because it's very ironic. Most of my life is actually me trying to avoid complexity. You know, me trying to make things accessible, trying to figure out, oh, here's what's relevant, and so on, and whatever. So I'll give like, oh, here's a metaphor, here's an idea, here's a word, blah, blah, blah. But then I realized, actually, you should probably tell stories more often. In fact, that's the conversation I literally just had right now before I started making this video. Also, I realized I'm talking way too fast. Whatever. So, something that's coming to me is this idea of like, call it a reality template. And reality I'll characterize as like nouns, verbs, and types of time, you know, types of chronos, if you will, you know, that kind of sums it up. And, you know, with time, you can say you have the eternal, it's permanent. You have the moment, you have past and future, you know, and stuff like that. And then you can have like different forms for these for cyclicity. You know, you can have different cycles, you can have different seasons. So it's like within the overall, you have like different, whatever. And even time could characterize as like the relationships between different verbs and the relationships between different nouns, and you as a noun, a person, narrating all these things and stuff like that.
Technicals now.
Yeah, I know, but I know, but it's just like I feel like I have to explain this before you get what I'm trying to figure out. Because the thing is, if I give you the experience won't get you to that.
Yeah.
It'll take way too long. So I'm just like, let me streamline it and just like say all this right quick, and eventually I'll basically think of it as like every culture gives you a sense of like, here's the game. Here's the type of stuff that is. Here's the type of stuff that isn't. Here's what works. Here's what will never be.
Right.
Blah blah blah.
But like, if you like explain it in like either a story or an analogy, and you make sure you have a touch point with the other person, if they got the story first, the impact or why it may be weird or not weird, and you know the person has to express that in their own words first. Like, you're like, well, you understand what I'm saying, or how did you understand that story, and then you hear from them how they understood it.
True. Then
and
you can like tune it to them,
Tune it, preferably with more stories or analogies.
Right.
And then like once they've mastered kind of the premise you laid down through the story, then you can go into like the specifics, the code.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I get what you're saying.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying.
Because people are dumb.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I'm dumb.
At the same time, it's also like new stuff. It's one of the things. Like I was making up different categories of ChatGPT about how to like talk about stuff that, you know, basically this is becoming very meta, but it's like basically what I'm doing right now is exactly what I'm trying to figure out. How basically the nature of communication.
Yeah.
The fact that even I was looking at different languages, like, oh, the languages have different question words. The type of questions, like, you know, we have what, when, how, why. The different languages have different types of that. So I was like gathering. I was like, oh yeah, they actually have this, and let's explore this way. Asking questions like, oh, the different languages have stuff that people kind of experience with their bodies or states of mind and so on that we don't have in English. That's one. Like, yeah, they do. So it's like gathering that and kind of like expanding like the palette, if you like the colors. If you use like paint, like this is how life is, this is how life works, this is how being human works, and so on. So that process requires me sometimes figuring out how do I characterize what people are saying. Because one of the things I sometimes realize is we don't actually talk about what we understand. We don't actually talk in a way that's actually understandable. We just talk in a way that we understand each other. So a lot of language is actually incredibly social. It's actually not directed at this, and it's not even clarifying much. It's just kind of like, oh, I get what you're saying. I vibe with it. I feel it. I agree. Like, you know, stuff like that. But it's not. There's no interobjectivity. We're not actually trying to say come to the object of what this is, or rather, I'll say come to the noun, come to the verb, to how to characterize what this is. So as a result, most of the time people get by on understanding each other, but not realizing they don't understand what the hell they're talking about, which is really weird. For instance, we'll use the word coincidence. When what we mean is like, if you actually examine, like when people say, oh, that's just coincidence, there's actually a lot of weird stuff you're actually trying to say. You're like, wait, what do you mean coincidence? Because we use experience coincidences. Things come together. In fact, we literally track grouping. That's literally how our minds work. Are they going the same direction? They're a group. Do they look similar? They're a group. Are in the same space? They're a group. So if you say coincidence, which is really a type of grouping, things falling together, I think that's the root meaning of falling together. You're basically saying it's just a grouping, and it's like, you didn't really tell me anything. That's my point. That's why I experienced it like that, because it came together. What you're saying is it's not together in the way that my mind is characterizing it. Maybe in terms like, oh, it's not trying to, like for instance, we're walking in public. I use this metaphor, and I didn't know your mom. and you see this woman, and you know, whatever, or maybe actually I want to make it more complex because usually we're dealing with ambiguity. Like you're mixed, you look black and Asian or whatever. You know, we're walking around and we're like, I see a woman who looks Asian or whatever, and she just looks like a regular Asian woman, and then she like coughs a certain way. But then it turns out it's your mom, and you know when your mom coughs that, she means like, oh, you're in danger, so go here. So you're like, Dom, let's go. Then you might be like, oh, Dom, it's because like that Asian woman coughed, but you don't have time to fill me in. I'm like, well, this is nonsense, bro. People are always coughing. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
See, I can extract from that situation that cough, and this woman is your mom.
Yeah.
So people act as if like our expressions are like very direct and linear and immediate, because we're always talking as if we actually communicate as if we're always using our hands to grab stuff. We communicate as if we're losing our eyes to like directly land on stuff. But most of what we encounter is not like that at all.
Right.
We have other senses, and yet we don't make metaphors from those senses. We don't actually store most of our experiences. That's as if people start talking instantly, they forget everything they've ever experienced and how they actually experience things. And it confuses how they talk for what they actually understand. So these are things I'm trying to like navigate in terms of people who come to get a better sense of like, oh, this is what's going on when it comes to the Bible. For instance, with Harry, I pointed out to him, you know, you believe in demons. Like when I told him, you know, psychological viruses and getting psychologically hacked by, you know, or even spirits, like with the idea of wind I just gave you, how like, oh, usually you'll see the wind because it interacts with objects that weigh less. They're able to move them around. That's like that. And also you can throw objects that weigh less into the sky into a particular direction, and maybe the wind will take it when you're outside. Yet the wind on its own is never on its own just accessed because it's imperceptible. That's what I mean. So it's technically that's what the Hebrews meant by spirit. That's what they're trying to communicate.
But it's like I understand what you're saying. You're metaphorically like trying to throw leaves into the air so that you can allow the listener to understand the invisible wind that you're trying to.
Exactly.
But the thing is, it takes two to tango in a conversation.
That's true.
If the other person doesn't even accept your axiom that there is, you know, whatever you're doing.
Exactly.
If they don't accept that.
No, that's true. That's why usually what I try to do is I try to make things transparent.
Right.
But in that process of transparency, they're like, oh, this is too much complex. Let's realize. Then I realize you never actually think about your experiences. You never actually think about your ideas. You never think about how your mind works.
But it's like, they're never going to think about it if they never had to.
Exactly.
So if you spot someone like that, then, you know, be okay with being on the surface level in your metric.
Right.
You know, be okay with it.
Right.
Or like try to like put some seeds of truth in there, and then once they pick it up, then you can go.
True.
So, you know, it was like that analogy I told you. Like if you just like pour like a waterfall into someone's mouth, they're gonna drown. Like if all they can handle is like 2 drops, then that's 2 drops of truth. You know.
That's true. I guess sometimes even that requires I need to have that interaction to even know, because I can't tell what's too much for someone. That's what's the thing. I have a different, you know.
Yeah, I guess it depends.
Yeah. So it becomes almost like I have to. That's why. In fact, that's why. Honestly, that's how Socrates. That's why he was doing what he was doing. It's like he has to question you and like draw things out of you. So then he tunes you with like what he has stored. He's incredible. That's why he's being ironic. He's just like, oh, I've learned I'm the wisest person, but I know nothing. You know, like, he's just like, bro. Like, then he like at his like death, he's like, I can't do this. Then he like explains what he can't do while doing it. Like form-wise, he does exactly what he says he can't do. So then people are like, wait, what the hell are you doing? Are you trolling us, bro? What's going on? He's just like, no, I'm just trying to teach you, you know. But I don't know anything about it. It's like it's almost as if like I can't get you to get this any other way. Or So if you. But also, the person's condescending. I guess because a part of me still have an egalitarian bent, which is actually still stupid, because it's like, you know, people aren't equal, they're not the same, and some people won't have the same equal interest and equal access. Hence why you could say some people are like more like visions, or more like sound, or more like touch. So you kind of have to adjust, but I have to have that interaction to know how to tune to a person too, and that's usually what I'm trying to figure out. But sometimes I go too much all at once, and I'm like, oh, you're giving me too much stimulation, and I'm not sure how to put it together to be like, okay, I have a sense of this is the noun, you know, place, person, objects, and so on.
Yeah, I don't know how you can like regulate yourself to have like a natural cutoff if that's not accessible to you. I don't know. It's very just intuition. But I don't know how you can access the intuition if that doesn't come